Well, St. Louis Cardinals just took 2 of 3. Well, we still got a third game to play in the Rays series, but bouncing back a little bit after a tough, about week stretch of baseball. But it's time for Sandy and I to grade the team based on post-deadline, month of July. I think we're going to have a little bit different grades than we did last time, but we'll talk about player performances, team performance on this episode of Beyond the Cards. Sandy, I always really like these because, I mean, we're always evaluating every episode how the team is doing, how players are doing individually, but this kind of puts like some visuals to it and kind of lets us go back and rethink like, oh, what did we think about Sonny Gray in May and June? What did we think about Nolan Gorman in April and May? Like, and how our opinions of the team and players and the front office and all that changes as the season goes on. So again, we're thankful that you joined us tonight after the Cardinals beat the Rays 5-2. Ryan Helsley had a little bit of a dicey ninth inning, but I think looked a lot better than he did the night before, and obviously better than he did in that Cubs series. Then Fedde again looked pretty good tonight. Obviously, you would like him to go more than innings. Only gave up 1 run, and he really worked out of a couple jams too. He had some swing and miss stuff. Looked more like the Fedde that we saw in Chicago for the White Sox rather than the first start he had against the Cubs. I guess we'll get into the state of the team conversation when we actually talk about the team, because we'll do that grade in a little bit. So maybe we could jump into grades pretty quick here. But how did you feel about the win tonight? What were some of your maybe quick takeaways from that?
Well, it's nice to know we didn't get 2022 Fedde. He was solid. Great to see that. A little inefficient. I'd love to see him go more than 5 innings in his next start. But that was nice. Gorman's double down the line was great to see, or, into right field, right?
Yes.
I was listening to it on the radio, so it was good to hear, I guess. But it sounded like that was hit pretty well. Arenado took some good at-bats. I was watching for those. Those were nice. And then the Cardinals got it done with runners in scoring position. So a lot of positives tonight. And the bullpen was fantastic. Kittredge was great. It was really nice to see him locating his sinker at the bottom of the zone. The hit he gave up was on a sinker that was high in the zone. So it's going to happen. Not every pitch is going to be perfect, but it was good to see him specifically getting that done. And it was nice to see Ryan Fernandez work out of a jam.
Yeah.
He had some bad luck, a couple balls that ended up getting through.
Yeah, he just wasn't able to get out of it
either.
Yeah.
No, not as sharp as he's been, but it was really nice to see him work through that. So really positive game for the Cardinals. Like, not a lot of complaints.
These episodes tend to go long when we do player grades, so I just say we just go ahead and jump right into it. And a lot of our conversation is just going to revolve around these things too, so we might as well just start grading it and see how we go with it. Okay. I think we can maybe see it now. Oh man,
I got it.
Can you? Okay. You're gonna have to keep track of the chat since I'm going to be on the tier list side of things, Sandy. But let's go ahead and have that controversial conversation of good old Nolan Arenado. Again, where do we even start with good old Nolan? Okay, I will say over the last 30 days, he has had a 769 OPS, so nothing to write home about, but not bad necessarily.
Better than it's been.
It is better than it's been. It's 4th on the team, only behind Tommy Pham, Matt Carpenter, Michael Siani. So that's encouraging.
Well, not encouraging to hear those names.
That shows you where the Cardinals offense has been this past month. I don't have an ad blocker on. I'm sorry. You guys can see Verbo and Hertz, but free advertising, but there's some other advertising later. I'm seeing in the chat right now, Kareem saying JJ's unreal. We should have put JJ on this tier list. So
S tier
prospect. So maybe we'll have Randy Flores next time in his drafting ability.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay, so Nato, we had to have the conversation, right? Conversations about his efforts been coming up lately, his attitude. I think Brandon Kiley had it where it's like since May until tonight, he only had 1 extra base hit with runners in scoring position. So he just got a second one tonight. So, in some ways, it kind of makes me think of how Goldie's numbers look incredible against left-handed pitching this year, but like in a big spot against a lefty, you still don't really trust him. Nato kind of feels like that, where his numbers look pretty average if you look at it all around, but like when it matters most, he shrinks. So for me, he's D tier or F tier at this point. I'd probably say D tier because he's not like a complete wash of a player. Like he does give you some value. And again, based on how we've done these tier lists. So if you're listening the first time, haven't caught our other tier lists, we don't just do this based on like our feelings about the player fully. We try to we mix in expectations of the player, but also like, is this an F player or a D player, like overall? And I would say this year, based on expectations and performance, that Nolan Arenado is a D for me at this point. I don't know. What do you feel, Sandy?
Yeah, I was really debating between like top of D, very bottom of C tier, because I guess I've got a little bit of
L
recency
tier for
bias.
lazy.
Yeah. Oh,
Cody.
dude, that's good. Hey, I'll say right now, like the elephant in the room is the play from the other night. Like Alvarez hits that ball. There's probably not a play at first, but Arenado still has to get to it and throw. And it was a horrible look for him to,
Yeah.
I mean, not even put his body in front of it. He like leaned down and like gloved it side. It was just bad. It just looked bad. You're losing 6-0. And I would
Yeah.
say that loss against the Mets was one of like just the most complete team losses of the year. Like nothing worked that game.
Yeah.
And so to see it finish like that, because it was in the 9th inning, you're down. But instead, you should be trying to make a great play at that point in time. So I would say very bottom of C tier because the offensive
Ooh.
numbers have been good enough for me for the last month. Like when you're saying he's the 4th best hitter on the team since July 1st, that's encouraging. But if you want to put him in D, the middle or top of D, I don't have any, I don't have any problems with that.
Yeah, I'll give a couple more thoughts, but I only have okay. So we have 2 D tiers, 1 C minus D plus tier, which is basically right at Oh, yes, Andrew's in the chat. So
Andrew
he can give his
outvotes us.
opinion.
Stick him
Okay,
in
so
D. Put him in
yeah,
D.
he's in D. So if Andrew gives his take, also if you guys can see on here at the very bottom of the list, we have Mo's water holder, 7 all-stars, and 2-way player to rank. So you guys will have to
very
let us know
fun.
where you're
How that
ranking the 3 of us this year.
Oh
Okay, so
man.
let's go D tier. I get the argument for bottom of C, but I think with some of these guys, I'm gonna let the expectations bake in a little bit more
It's
than
fair.
others. And like Siani, I will probably rank a little bit higher than like he actually is as a player, but it's partially because expectations.
I like
Not
Siani.
sure he's probably like a C player, but like the expectations bumped me down for sure into D tier. So yeah,
Fair.
it's been tough, and I'm hopeful that he's a better second half. But at this point, like I'm not banking on that from him or Goldschmidt. It's kind of like, hey, it'd be icing on the cake, but I don't know what else I'm supposed to do at this point. It's been too long. So Brandon Crawford, I think I don't know, Sandy. Where would you? I don't want to. I don't want to like give my takes. Start off all of them. So let's bounce between us. Where would you start with Crawford here?
I need to look at his numbers again because I know actually they've been like okay over the
Yeah.
last
So on
month
the
and a half.
season, he is a 179, 276, 299
Oh,
hitter.
so
But then
bad.
last month and a half. Oh, actually, he's pretty far down here. Oh, it's 182, 523 OPS. I thought it was better than that.
So he's been worse lately. Yeah, I mean he's like very bottom of D tier, maybe F tier. But I'm this might be unfair, but I'm gonna
Oh my
bake
gosh.
in whatever effect he's had on Mason Winn, because clearly Winn wants him around. So I'll say the last player in D tier.
So we've got B tier, Andrew says for Crawford. We have S tier from Kareem saying his DJ and clubhouse skills. X veteran leadership is bonkers from Crawford from Derek B.
Yeah,
Two-way player, S tier. I think we're getting outranked, outvoted here by the chat. We haven't really let the chat give much like we haven't let the chat dictate stuff before, but it'd be kind of fun to actually let them X win mentorship. I do think it's kind of fair to say like Crawford's role wasn't. I'm just gonna put
it's
him here for now, but we
true.
can keep talking this out. It wasn't necessarily to be like a great player this year.
Yeah,
I don't want to but I mean he's been bad.
it's bad. He has a negative WAR on the season. Like it's not good.
Yeah, but like so okay, let's talk this through. How much does like his negative performance outweigh the positives he's having on the team from the clubhouse and from like Burleson specifically? Like do you give him more credit? Like does that bump him up to you, or does that just keep, because he'd be an F tier player just on stats? So does like the influence he's had bump him all the way up to C, or is that what like keeps
It
him in
bumps
D
him up.
tier?
It bumps him up 1 for me, but like top of D tier.
Okay,
I'd let
that's
you. I'd
fair.
let you put him at the very bottom of C tier.
No, I
But
think
like
you're right,
I
because
would
I
say
think
top of
if
D.
if it wasn't for the aura, we're all like, this is an F tier player. Like, what's below
Yes.
F? Like, so I
Yeah.
think it's fair.
Yeah. Z tier.
Z tier for Crawford. Oh, he can actually go in lazy tier. It's not, but actually, I think he's trying. He's just that like old and slow
He's
at this
just
point.
can't get to the ball.
So, yeah, pretty tough for our guy Brandon Crawford. But okay, so Andrew Kittredge, 52 games this year, 3.08 ERA. His last the last 30 days, he's a 2.79 ERA over 9 2/3 innings. I personally would put him in like a B tier this year. He's been a really good, solid, high leverage reliever, but he's not like incredible by any means, especially ever since the beginning of the season. But I have a hard time putting him anywhere below B.
I definitely couldn't put him
B.
below. I couldn't put him below B. I think I'm a little higher on him because I feel like it feels kind of like he's back right now. When you look at his last few appearances, they've been really good. It felt like he looked really good tonight. I felt like this was the sharpest I'd seen him. His slider was consistently at the bottom of the zone. He was finding it on the black too.
Fair.
Felt like he was locating. So that was really, really nice. I think this was like the best outing I've seen from him in a while, which is really encouraging. Because if the Cardinals are going to win a bunch of games in September, they have to do it the same way they did it in May and June, which is with their bullpen. Like it has to be good. And so I think Brandon Crawford Andrew Kittredge. Why am I still on Brandon Crawford? He means nothing to the team. I think Andrew Kittredge is an integral part of that. So, I mean, I would have him top of B. I would say like high B tier. I could hear an argument for A tier for him, but I'll say top of B.
Yeah, as you were talking through, I could hear bottom of A, but let's go top of B for now. We can always move stuff around a little bit as needed. So if you're on audio, so far we've Andrew Kittredge in B tier, Brandon Crawford, Nolan Arenado in D tier, and now we're coming up on. I was very hateful toward Andre Pallante when he joined the rotation. Which I mean, the stats I was throwing out there weren't. I mean, the stats didn't lie. Right-handed hitters were Ted Williams against him to start the year, so like it was brutal. But Pallante, obviously, his last start wasn't anything to write home about, but overall has been really solid this year for the Cardinals. Has been one of their best starters since he entered the rotation. Last 22 innings, so his last 4 starts, he's a 5.32 ERA, but I think that's pretty inflated from his last start.
Correct.
On the season, he is where's Pallante at? A 4.43, but again, I think that a little of that's inflated from his reliever time, and then also from again that most recent start. I'd probably put him in C tier though. Like again, expectations wise, he's been really helpful, and he's had a good stretch, but I think overall in the year, I'm not. Like a B tier would be quite the stretch for me personally.
I'm looking at the bottom of B tier for Pallante. Let me give you my argument. You can see if you agree with me. Since Pallante joined the rotation, he's made 11 starts. In those starts, he has a 4.11 ERA, but that's inflated.
He lost me there already.
Oh, hold up. If his first 10 starts, like not including the last start, he's got a 361, which is right in line with his FIP, which is 366. Across his 11 starts. He's had a little bit of bad luck, and that came to the forefront his last time out. In that stretch of 10 starts,
how many innings has he covered in those 10?
Let me get that pulled back up.
Because
covered over 50, so he's doing better than Lance Lynn in the innings department.
Okay.
Like my argument is basically he's been a top 3 starter on the team since he joined the rotation.
Yeah, but I guess does that make you being a top 3 starter on this team? Does that make you a B tier player?
I think we're a B tier team, so I would say probably.
You think they're a B tier team right now? Oh, okay, we can't get into this.
Very bottom of B tier.
We get there later.
You're still looking at a team that's contending for the playoffs, but
yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
He's also been very helpful lately when you've had Sonny Gray really scuffle. And you've had Lance Lynn. Like, I know he's had 2 good starts recently, but I feel like he was having the worst stretch of his season in early July and late June. I'll listen to top of C. I think that's fine.
No, I've been outvoted because Andrew originally said A tier for Andre, and then he put.
I don't know about A tier. So, I also feel like he's done an okay job limiting walks. Like, I like what I've seen from him. I'm encouraged.
Yeah, I'll go bottom of B, but I think it like very quickly, like 2 more starts, it could be firmly in C tier.
Yes,
or it could be firmly in B tier. So that's
correct.
Seth, good to see you, man. No problem, you're late. Or he said sorry, I'm late, but there's no problem on that. That's for sure. Oh, Andrew's joking about A tier apparently. So apologize, Andrew. It's hard to it's hard to read like sarcasm in a chat. You know, it's tough. I don't know how to get there. So, yeah. Anyways, I think I can buy the argument for that. That makes sense. Yeah, we'll go with that. So we'll skip Contreras though.
Dude, he's the best player on the team.
Yeah. What's his number? He's been a little bit cold since the break. I'm trying to figure out he's still an 847 OPS though. I thought it would dropped a little bit more by now. I think A tier for sure for Wilson.
Definitely A tier, top of A tier. I don't know if we have any S tier players on the team.
I don't
right
know
now.
either. Yeah,
like it'd be really hard to put someone there. So I would say very top of A tier for him. I know who I'm putting in S tier. I'll tell you that. But
it's Michael
Siani. Might not be a player. It might not be a player.
7 All-Stars.
Chip Caray.
Chip Caray. That we'll get there. We'll get there. Oh man. Yeah, I think I put Wilson in A tier. Also, I do think like his defense has been super underrated, I don't think it's underrated anymore, but it hasn't been talked about a ton. I do think the kind of transformation he's taken from being the guy who is a scapegoat, not just by the front office and coaching staff, but by some of the pitchers. And now he's a guy that like just is a true leader on this team. And also the ways that he's filled in offensively when Goldie and Otto have fallen off. Like without Wilson Contreras, this team is in the dumps. So big Wilson Contreras fan, but yeah, I don't think he's an S tier player anymore at this point. He's not really like I guess I haven't looked at the total MVP race right now. I don't think he'd be I know he wouldn't be like a top 5 to 8 candidate, but maybe he could be a top 15, 20
it's
guy.
The injury.
Right
I
now.
think if he'd played the whole season, you'd be looking at a guy that was going to get votes in the top 10. I don't see it right now.
Yeah. So,
but
also too, like we have to remind like people like this is like where we're putting them on the season to this point. So it's not just like how was their July. If this was how was their July, oh my gosh, this would be a really bad list. So I'm very glad we're not doing something like that.
I mean, Wilson's easily having the best offensive year of his career. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Like his OPS plus is 10 points higher than it's ever been.
True.
I mean, it's really fun. So.
Good old Wilson. So we're big Wilson fans. Before we get to our next one, though, I just want to thank one of our sponsors of this podcast, and it's 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. If you haven't checked out 314 already, we've talked about them a lot on this podcast because they're really awesome. You can find them at 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet. And they're open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. And they buy, sell, and trade sports cards and Pokemon cards. So if you're into either of those, that's something that you can find there. I've recently I actually in the corner of my office right now have stacks of old boxes of baseball cards. So like some of them are from like my dad way back in the day. Some of the ones I collected back in the day. So like I'm pretty soon here going to go through and look through all my old cards and see if I have anything of value. And if not, just see like what I have. And I want to check out, I'm going to go try and swing by 314 the next time I'm in St. Louis myself. But yeah, if you're interested in baseball cards, football cards, other sports cards, packs, packages, the newest packs, all that kind of stuff, go check out 314 Sports Cards. They're super active on Instagram, so you can check out some other stuff on there, and let them know we sent you, so they know that you came from Dealing the Cards. Devin from there checks out Dealing the Cards too, so it's fun to have him watching. So Devin, shout out to you. But yeah, check out 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles if you're into trading or buying or selling sports cards. So Lars Nootbaar, oh man, he's a 696 OPS on the year, though.
It's not good.
And he's been injured a lot. I kind of think D tier.
Oh goodness, it's so bad.
Like I could see bottom of C, but like I don't know. I don't see anything in the chat right now, any opinions yet, but I just have I don't know. It's not like he's an elite defender either. Like it's nice that he can play out there. He's helpful. Like he's not bad. He's pretty good, but
thanks 314. That was for Andrew.
Yeah, thanks 314. Yeah, okay, 0.9 B WAR on the season.
It's not bad, but it's not. I'm not encouraged. Let me get a look at the Baseball Savant numbers just really quick.
Okay.
Let me see if he's at least getting unlucky, because I would make I mean, the Baseball Savant numbers are actually pretty good. Yeah. Like his xWOBA is still 73rd percentile. So that's a pretty good like catch-all stat for people who don't know what that is. 341 is like very, very respectable. He's hitting the ball really hard. 87th percentile, 91st percentile in hard hit percentage.
With runners in scoring position this year, he's batting 180, 300, 300 to 600 OPS. I was hopeful maybe that was a claim to fame. But
yeah, he's squaring up the ball a lot. He never chases. 17.3.
Jordan Walker is their fourth best player with runners in scoring position this year.
Oh gosh.
And Dylan Carlson's their fifth. It's Tommy Pham, Brendan Donovan,
Shut
Alec Burleson,
up.
and Wilson Contreras are the only ones still on the team with above 700 OPS with runners in scoring position. It's so bad.
I'm thinking C tier just because the expected numbers are still like really good.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I would
I'd
listen
say
on top
very
of D.
bottom though.
Yeah, the very bottom of C tier. I'd listen on top of D because I don't think you can in your right mind rank him below Arenado or Crawford.
Yeah, I'd put him above them though if he was in D tier.
Yeah.
But, I wonder his F4 is this year. He is 1.1. Interesting. And only 63 games.
He's squaring up the ball a lot. So like I think this is gonna change. Like I really do think he's gonna start hitting better.
Yeah,
but
I do think
there are a lot of guys on this team that are StatCast darlings that it's not playing out in real life.
Yeah.
So
Fair.
but then again, that was Alec Burleson for 2 years. And now look at Alec Burleson.
That's
so
true.
You never know.
And that's been, I mean,
gonna break through.
The story of Newt's career has been like StatCast or darling. He gets injured, is really slow coming back from the injury, then he catches fire, and once he's finally like, man, this guy's awesome, then he gets hurt again. So like at some point, like that's going to be an issue for this guy. But yeah, I'll say C for now. But if he gets injured again or like doesn't turn on soon, I think he moves into D for me.
Quickly goes into D tier.
Okay, let's keep going. So Ryan Helsley, I would say at A tier. I know we have S tier for a while. I know it doesn't always look like super great with him, but like again, he's converted all but 3 saves this year. He's 34 now. What is it like? I don't know, 35 on the season now.
36 saves. He leads all of baseball by 3.
Yeah, and I mean like his job is to close the games down, and he's a 2.7 ERA. Like I think he's been really good. I think when you watch the same guy over and over and over again, it feels worse than other closers. You're like, man, other closers just get it done in 3 outs. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, do they? Like
they don't.
So,
watch Kyle Finnegan. He's got 31 saves, but watch him pitch. Like it's not pretty.
Yeah.
Let me give you some numbers.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Really quickly. He's essentially the hardest thrower in the league. His fastball is averaging 100 on the season.
Nice.
He's getting. Guess what his chase rate is?
And his slider's better than his fastball. Chase rate, I'm gonna say 28%.
31.5%. And guess what his whiff rate is?
Oh gosh, 36%.
Yeah, 36%. That's
nice.
If people are swinging and missing 36% of the time, that's elite. I would say
Cubs, S versus everyone else.
That's accurate. But I would throw Helsley above Contreras in A tier. He still is a top 3 closer in the league. I would listen to bottom of S tier, but I don't know. He blew a save last week, and I have recency bias, so A tier.
Yeah, I think with another strong stretch from him, he could put himself back in S tier. But I think that's projecting slightly. So let's go S tier. Victor Scott, probably still D tier for us at this point. Like he hasn't really, I mean,
bottom of
that
D
first
tier.
home run. I mean, it's just been a short sample size so far, so would love to see him continue to play well. I mean, his defense has been pretty good since he's come back. He did have that weird thing the other day, though, where what is it, Siri that tagged up from first base on him?
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, I feel like he could have. I mean, it was kind of one of those things where it's like a lot of players do what he did there, and Siri took advantage of it. So it's like, anyways, I'm not going to totally throw him under the bus for that, but it wasn't great. But I think, and then Walker, would we say the same, D tier, or would we put F tier? I think because his recent performance in AAA, probably D, but like F, I could see an argument for.
I'd still have him above Scott.
Okay.
I mean, like Scott's numbers are just so bad. Even after the home run, like I'm sorry, I like Victor Scott. As we always say, I believe in him as a player. I wanted nothing more than to see him get on tonight with 2 outs in the 8th because that was a great steal situation for him. Yeah. Like they definitely would have sent him, and it would have been really fun to watch him steal a base. But yeah, it's just bad right now. And Walker's the same way, but Walker's numbers are better. So
yeah,
and Walker can
need
defend
an ad blocker. Yeah, Walker can defend somewhat now. So it is so slow. Sorry, guys. All these random ads for the most random stuff in the world. So I feel like they tell you that your ads are like custom to you, but like I don't know why I'd be getting Adobe Pro stuff and then whatever this Jegs thing is over here. So, anyways, okay, Ryan Fernandez. I'd probably put bottom of A tier this year. What's his most recent numbers?
I don't have his most recent numbers. I think he's had one of his
a lot more of
like
a 6.52 ERA in his last 9 2/3.
Yeah,
pretty bad.
The numbers on the season
he's a 2.86 ERA though.
Yeah, they're still really good.
So I'd put bottom of A or top of B, either above Kit or right or below Contreras for now.
I think he's above Kittredge, so I'd say A tier. I just think the bullpen is that good. Like I'm so
not D
in
tier
on
for Fernandez.
Fernandez is so good, dude.
Yeah, he's been great. Kyle Gibson, or we maybe like top of C tier or something like that. Maybe bottom of B. Like I just feel like it's been a little bit rougher lately for our guy.
Yeah, I mean, when he's still delivering a lot of value. Like, you know how many innings he's pitched this season?
Let's see, 120. So
yeah,
less than
really,
Gray though.
Really encouraging. Yeah, but when you're getting that much length out of a guy that you're signing to be your 4, like I'm really
he's a 4.04 ERA in the year right now though.
Yeah, it's not perfect lately, but we win when he pitches, and that's what I care about. I said before the season when they signed Gibson and Lynn, I said the only stat that mattered for the two of them was team wins on days they pitch, and the Cardinals are over 500 when Gibson pitches.
Fair. Okay, I could see bottom of B. I'd probably still.
I'd say top of C. Top of C.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say individual performance though. I think it's hard to argue him in the B tier, but I know like the role he's trying to fill, like he's doing that, which is great.
He's doing a great job.
Earlier in the year when he had that swing and miss, he's more like a 3.5 ERA guy.
Oh like, yeah, for sure.
Solid B tier player, but Pedro Pages, I'd probably say D tier. Like, I mean, his defense lately, like he's getting run on at the same rate that Ivan Herrera really was. His bat's really not there. I know he's clutch randomly sometimes, which is fun, but like I kind of bought into like, okay, I get why they're doing the Pages thing, but now I'm kind of like, okay, they've they were playing the hot hand for a second there, but he is now the cold hand, so it should be Ivan Herrera now. But
yeah, I mean the nice thing about Pages is that like inexplicably the Cardinals win when he plays. Which, I mean, it's kind of odd. But at one point...
Is it like that lately, though?
Not quite as much anymore. But at one point, it was actually, like, crazy how much they were winning when he was playing. I think he was, like 23 and 14 or something at one point. He's still 20... he was, like, 20 and 11 or something. He's 23 and 20 right now when he plays. But that's counting a bunch of losses at the beginning of the year when he was coming in, like, the 9th inning. So, like, when he starts, they're pretty good. But it's also fair to say, like, the bat sucks. And I just don't think he's ready. Like, you're talking about a guy who was catching at Double-A last year regularly. Definitely did not think he'd be a big league player right now. But it is fun. The defense is really good. And somehow he has a positive WAR, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, let's do it. I think the funny thing is, well, not funny thing, but the thing that they kind of sold us on for a while was like Ivan Herrera can't throw out runners, and it's a real problem. So like I was on the camp of like, hey, this is like detrimental to the team, but it's like now Pages can't either. So I'm like, if Pages has the same issue, please give me Ivan Herrera and his bat. So
correct. Also, are we totally sure that it's like their fault? Our pitchers are really slow to the plate.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I am sorry. I mean, I've always thought like, okay, it feels like the pitchers are not necessarily doing them any favors.
Can't get those numbers.
But yeah, it's not ideal. So, I wish we could get those numbers. But Alec Burleson, like bottom of A. I mean, he has slowed down a lot recently, though. He's 776 OPS guy, 19 home runs, 66 RBIs. But I mean, there's a good chance he pushes toward 100 RBIs this year. I don't know if he gets there. 44 the rest of the way be pretty hard to do. But he probably is a mid to high 20s home run guy. I think probably bottom of A tier.
Yeah, I'd listen on bottom of A tier. The OPS is lower than I'd like for a guy in A tier, which is why I'm hesitant. But also, like, when you think about how clutch he's been, he is coming through with runners in scoring position. I know I'm, like, always hammering that home about how the rest of the team doesn't perform. Love to see that out of him. So, yeah, I would definitely listen to bottom of A tier. I'd probably say top of B, but I'm fine with bottom of A.
I know. I'll go top of B, too, because his WRC plus has fallen to 114.
Yeah.
Which actually he's projected this year to be 115, which is kind of interesting. And also I just don't think people talk about enough. He is awful against left-handed pitching. Like
it's so bummy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll put top of B for that. It feels like vibes wise, he should go higher though. I
love Burley though.
Like lately,
Burley deserves to be hitting at the top of the order. It's really nice to see him there.
Yeah. Do we have 3 straight F tiers? Thompson, Gallegos, and Fermin.
Yes.
I was gonna say I don't really.
Thompson at the top of those guys, though.
Yeah.
Put Gallegos at the bottom, just for Andrew. It sucks. I was so sad to see the Gallegos DFA because, like, I don't think people give him enough credit. His Cardinals tenure, like aside from this year, was really, really, really good. It's really rare that you see a reliever who you can like Sharpie in for 60 innings of like high quality production. And Gallegos was that for 5 years with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I think that's something that it's gone unsaid too much. Like, I just want to really quickly pull up how good he was as a Cardinal over that time. It was amazing. Where is this?
It really was.
Yeah, over those 5 years, 1.30 ERA plus, 3.18 ERA, just really good. Was averaging 73 innings pitched per 162 games. Like, it's really good.
I'm in.
Appeared
I'm
in
in
a ton
on
of
it.
games. Yeah. Sad, though. I was really sad to see him go. I really liked him.
Yeah. Well, for GT or for Gallegos, which I think, but we will keep it how it is for right now. So I just asked you, Sandy, if we had 3 straight F tiers, but do we have 2 straight S tiers with Mason Winn and Tommy Pham?
Is Mason Winn an S tier player?
So here, I'll make the case real quick. He is a 4-WAR player according to B-WAR already on the season. He is a 3-WAR player F-WAR wise.
It's great.
He's 10% above league average as a rookie shortstop at the plate, leading off on this team. 9 home runs, so he's going to probably hit close like 12, 13 home runs on the year.
Hopefully he gets close to 15. A little bit of a power surge over the last month.
Yeah, I think he can get close to it. And he's 22 and like still like has room to fill out. So like I don't think he'll be. I think 20s is probably his cap. But I mean, he's a guy that can hit.
They made the case on the radio the other day that Mason Winn could someday be like a 20 to 25 home run hitter. They were talking about that on BK and Ferrario. It definitely feels like a stretch, but like the numbers are way more encouraging than they were.
Maybe in like a career year. Yeah, in like a career year.
Oh, yeah.
I could see.
But that's amazing. Like if you're talking about that being his ceiling now, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I guess he leads all shortstops in DRS.
It's really good.
His defense I think sometimes is a little inconsistent, but like overall, I think he's awesome. I mean, that throw the other night, like who else makes that play in all of baseball to save Helsley there? So I see the argument for S tier for Winn, especially because he is like, again, we do bake a little bit of expectations into it. And it's like, man, it's like a rookie. He's just taking the world by storm. And then I mean, Tommy Pham was a Cardinal at least.
Let me throw this out there for Winn and why I think he's an A tier player.
Okay.
Fangraphs is not nearly as high on his defense, or not Fangraphs, Savant. Sorry. Yeah. His OAA is only 5, which is still like 90th percentile, but it's not like the game-breaking defense that you're seeing from guys like Marcus Semien or Michael Siani. Much closer to league average in that sense. Yeah, he's fast. He's got the best arm in the league. We know that. And again, nobody makes the play the other night against Tampa. And I think if Mason Winn doesn't make that throw, I said, as the ball was hit, I said, thank goodness it was hit to Mason Winn because he'll make this play. And he gunned the guy down at first. It was awesome. Like, put the clip of Justin Turner up making fun of him for throwing 102 because we're really glad for that 80 grade arm last night. Won the Cardinals game. There's no way, in my opinion, Helsley was closing it out if that guy reaches base. But his offense, his expected WOBA, 296, like way below league average, 23rd percentile. There are real questions about whether the offensive production is sustainable. I know he hits a lot of line drives, which is really a positive thing, but he doesn't walk a ton. So I would say A tier. I'm not in on S tier. Also, I just think it's hard to rank him above Contreras when you're talking about a guy whose OPS is 100 points lower. And both of them are good defenders. It's not like Contreras isn't a good defender.
Fair. I guess the pushback would be Mason Winn has played this whole season.
True. And he's been maybe the most important player on the team. Like, I won't deny that. He's a big reason the Cardinals are in the race right now.
I think maybe, we haven't really had this. I mean, we kind of had this conversation, but like, is S tier, like, if you're an S tier player, does that mean you're an S tier player in baseball? And you can't put Mason Winn as an S tier player in baseball just in general, but also when you stack him up against Bobby Witt, Marcus Semien. I know Marcus Semien plays mostly second base. We could be a shortstop too.
Like Cruz, unfortunately.
Smelly,
CJ
Cruz, CJ Abrams. I don't think Corey Seager's. I think Corey Seager's been good this year. I'm blanking on Corey Seager.
He's not been as good as usual. Mookie Betts, though.
Yeah, so I can see top of A. I'm not seeing a lot of answers other than Andrew and Kareem put S tier. Seems like Cody's been pretty. I think I can see Cody saying S tier, maybe A tier. Also, that's interesting. Wind sprays.
Yes, that's very true.
So
that's why he keeps overperforming it. And I mean, he hits a lot of line drives. Like, I'm in on that.
Yeah, we can come back to it. Let's put him top of A for now. Very, very top of A. Or wait, you think Or do you think he should be above Contreras? Or I thought weren't
Oh,
sure
no,
about
no.
the
I
Contreras
think
side of it.
I was saying like not above him is in a whole tier. He can be above him within a tier because
Okay.
like you said, the availability is really important. And I think it's fair to say the Cardinals finding stability at the top of the lineup has been huge for the team. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we should undersell that either. And the defense it's really, really good. And he's got a chance to win a Gold Glove someday, just probably not this year.
That's fair. Also, do we even need to have a conversation about Tommy Pham being S tier? I mean, come on.
As a Cardinal, he's S tier.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're doing here. We're talking about Cardinal Tommy Pham. Just so people know, in his 8 games so far, he does have an 1100 OPS. So we're gonna 759 slug.
Did you see? Well, first off, to come back to like the Cardinals locker room that he left in shambles.
Or sorry, the only shortstops in more WAR than good old Mason Winn this year is Bobby Witt, who Bobby Witt should be American League MVP. He is probably the best defensive shortstop in baseball, and insane. Okay, but like I know Judge is a good defender, but like Bobby Witt's like insane. So
I know Bobby Witt's unreal.
But we'll put him in A tier for now. We'll keep Mason Winn there. Sorry, I cut you off.
Witt's going to have a 10 WAR season. For Pham to come back to the Cardinals locker room, though, one that like reportedly he left in shambles in like what was it, the 2018 deadline when they traded him, to come back 6 years later and hit a grand slam in his first at bat was just like too perfect.
I literally, as we're talking about Bobby Witt, just saw this tweet. Bobby Witt's current pace, where it would rank him on every shortstop who's ever played since the integration in 1947 average. He'd be the 6th best average for a shortstop since 1947 with 347. Runs, what he's on pace for 138, would be 3rd best. WRC plus would be 1st best of all shortstops you've played since 1947. WAR, he's on pace for 11.2.
Oh my gosh.
Bobby Witt. MVP.
He's really special.
So he's got 25 stolen bases, 1,000 OPS, is the best defensive shortstop in baseball. Bobby Witt is my MVP right now. I do understand
Judge is generational. He
does have Soto sitting next to him in that lineup, though. And
I don't care. Aaron Judge has done it alone, too. Aaron Judge's 2022 season, top 10 season, maybe all time. Bobby 1,100 OPS.
You know what sucks? Also, we can't make the... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
You know what Judge's OPS is right now?
Oh, gosh. It's probably insane. Just
take a guess.
2,000. I'm just kidding. Let's do 1,100.
1157. 219 OPS plus. 7.7 BWAR coming into today. It's absurd.
Insane. We are watching some really good baseball these days. So, and Ohtani is just a one-way player, so doesn't play defense, so he doesn't touch either of them.
So true.
John King.
Last thing about Pham. I wanted to say this. I forgot this on the podcast the other day when he was mic'd up. Did anyone else notice the fantasy football questions and chuckle? I thought it was the funniest thing ever. And Chip was buying into it a little bit. I love Chip Caray. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's great. John King, maybe like top of B tier. Or somewhere in B tier. A tier I can see maybe, but
I think he's an A tier. The numbers are so good.
He does have the exact same ERA as Ryan Helsley this year, which is interesting, and a lower whip.
Yep. His expected ERA is every bit as good as Helsley's. He's in the 91st percentile in chase rate. His walk rate, 3.4%. He basically has the best ground ball rate of any reliever in all of baseball right now. People don't hit the ball hard against him. They don't square it up very often. Like, I know everyone said coming into this year that John King was bad and that like it was all smoke and mirrors last year, but his ERA plus since joining the Cardinals is like 185.
Okay.
Like it's legit. 185 over 61.2 innings now with the Cardinals.
Fair.
I've got him bottom of A, but
okay, we'll put him bottom of A. Do you or should we even rank O'Brien or Kaufenstein? Do you feel like either of them have like deserve to be ranked?
It's not
okay.
Even fair.
I'll keep you on the bottom. Okay, Nolan Gorman. Bottom, like not bottom of D tier, but I'd say right above, above or below Pages in D tier, and I'm pretty bullish on that.
Yeah. It's bad, dude.
Let's see on the season. So Gorm Gorm would have the highest strikeout rate since Chris Davis's crazy year of any player. 682 OPS, 201 on base, or average 274 on base percentage. It's just been bad, and I think his numbers are being severely carried by 2 short stretches. He had like a 5-day stretch in July where he had like a 220 WRC plus and was insane. And then he had like a 2.5 week stretch in May where he was really good. Otherwise, it's been atrocious. So
yeah, it's really bad.
do you fight him being higher than D or?
I'd drop him at least below Pages. I think it's hard to rank him above or below Walker and Scott, but I mean it's bad. And when you think about the fact that Pages has produced the same amount of WAR in way less plate appearances, like when we're talking about Winn versus Contreras, where both guys have been valuable, I think availability is a good thing. But when we're talking about two guys who haven't produced, it's more impressive to not produce in less opportunities. The volume starts to go the other way. 0.5 WAR for 350 plate appearances is actually awful. So
we do have a good, interesting comment for Kareem though. Gorman the same tier as Scott, and also the fact that Nato's like there are some interest. Scott might need to just go to F tier. I know how we love him.
You could drop Scott to F tier. I wouldn't hate it. Although he homered the other night, and it was so fun. And I was there. It was so awesome.
Should Walker go to F tier then too, or
yes, they probably should be F tier.
Should probably do because we're not ranking AAA players here, guys. We're not doing the AAA stats. Which also wouldn't it be super favorable for him?
Hey, to be fair, these last 2 weeks for Walker, very very exciting. Is he getting some of his mojo back?
That's fair. Also, Andrew, I do know I get that Scott homered, but like, let's see where does they even put his? What are his numbers the last 3 days?
They're still really bad.
He's still
it's only hit
5 games. Yeah, it's only game. He's only hit. He's a 500 OPS since he came back. So sorry, I love you, VS2. We do. I think you're gonna be awesome, but you're just it's been bad so far. So and that's okay to say. I think he'd admit it too. Kyle Leahy, C tier.
Yeah, top of C tier. I think I'm way higher on Kyle Leahy than most people. Yeah, I think things have been pretty good. He doesn't walk anybody. People don't
3,
square
4,
him
1.
up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the numbers have
fair.
been good. Although you can make the exact same argument I just made with John King and say that the expected stats are not as good. Even though he like, it feels like people like he doesn't walk anybody. He doesn't give up a lot of barrels. People are still putting the ball in play and they're hitting line drives off of him, even if they're not hit hard, but those are getting down. And then also like his expected ERA is not great. It's like 4.6. So you can make the exact same argument I just made that it might not be sustainable, but the actual numbers like 3.4 is pretty good. That slots into any bullpen.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. JoJo Romero, Sandy, what do you think JoJo's ERA is over his last 7 outings?
Okay. I think that you're assuming that I'm going to think it's bad because it was bad. And it's definitely good now because every time I see him, it feels, let's say 0.
1.35.
Okay. So he's given up what, like 1 run?
Yes. 1 earned run. So I'm going to put him in A tier because on the season, he is a 2.35 ERA, which is the best out of all Cardinal, 2.31 ERA, which is the best out of all Cardinal relievers. I know he had that weird stretch, but I think in general on the season, he's been an A-tier player. He just had that stretch where it wasn't that great. So I'd put him either maybe below Fernandez because Fernandez has been pretty consistent. And I think it is you had that like 3-week stretch where you're kind of like, is JoJo even going to be a productive reliever anymore? Which is kind of tough. But I think he's definitely an A.
Yeah.
The strikeout stuff going away though is kind of concerning. So
we need that back, but he doesn't walk a ton of guys still.
Yeah,
the whip
he's
is still
5
Ks
in his last 6 2/3 innings, so it's coming back a little bit, but still not super ideal. So
yeah, he was great tonight.
Brendan Donovan, like, what were you at with Brendan Donovan right now?
Donnie, off and on, one of my favorite players. I mean,
he is one of my favorite, but it's just frustrating because it's not being sustained like I want it to be.
Yeah, it's not as fun as I want it to be with Donovan. Like I want the sky to be the limit for him. I don't know. I just wish there was more power in his profile. And I know that's like not a fair thing to wish with Donovan because that's never been his calling card. And he's definitely having his worst offensive season right now, but the whole team is. At least he's still been an above average producer. Like I think you could argue bottom of D because of the positional flexibility.
Bottom of D?
No, sorry, not bottom D, bottom of B. Bottom of B. I did not mean.
I was like, whoa.
I did not mean bottom of D. No, because I would say like positional flexibility, the fact that when Donovan produces, the Cardinals win. I think that just matters. Like when you're talking about a team like the Cardinals, where wins are as important as they are because we're hanging on in the race by a thread, the guys that win games for you are inherently more valuable than the guys that don't win games for you. I think that argument holds water for me. And then you're also thinking about like the numbers aren't bad in a vacuum. He's still an above average offensive producer. He's still a solid defender. I think his outfield defense has been better this year than it was either of the last 2 seasons. I think he's improved there. So I'm bottom of B.
I think the defense, I put him above Pallante and B personally, just because I think like,
yeah, I could listen to that.
So, but I think B tier because the defense has been so stinking good. And like he basically helped, especially when the Cardinals were hot, he was one of the main reasons why he really carried them from the beginning of June through the All-Star break, really. So I'll give him a B, but I think he is inching closer to C tier right now based on his offensive performance lately.
Yeah, I just wish he was walking more. Like he has the lowest strikeout rate of his career. He's in like the 94th percentile in terms of not striking out, 94th percentile in whiff rate. It's great, but his walk rate is down to 6.9%, which is like well below average now, which is really frustrating because as a rookie, it was 12.8%, which put him in the 93rd percentile. He's dropped all the way to the 34th percentile. Also, his bat speed is really, really bad. It's like under 70 miles per hour, but that's kind of the Donovan experience. You're not expecting him to be this like big slugger, swinging out of his shoes every time. The really cool thing with Donovan, and one of the reasons I think he's still someone to watch, like I think the numbers will get better. He's in the 99th percentile in squared up percent. Like Donovan hits line drives. He gets the sweet spot on the ball. Yeah, that's amazing. That's kind of a newer stat on Savant's page. But yeah, it's really good to see. Also, Donovan sprays it all over the place, just like Winn. So I think he can outperform some stuff, even though the power is not exactly like we thought it was going to be after we saw those videos coming out from him at Driveline. It's still nice.
We did have Brock Carey mention or come in here and say Burleson only B. And if you kind of look at his numbers lately, he's fallen off a little bit he's fallen off a lot in the second half offensively, but his overall numbers on the year have fallen off. But I do think you look at the list now and it's kind of like, man, we're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players above Burleson right now, which I mean, I think is fair. But a strong week or two, I think, puts him in the top 5.
How many of those guys, though, are like not pitchers? That's the other thing. Yeah. And Tommy Pham doesn't really count because Tommy Pham just joined the team. Is in S tier because of a couple of great moments. And like if Tommy Pham is who Tommy Pham was with the White Sox, he's a B tier player just like Burleson is right now. You know, and you're talking about a guy who also has the advantage of only having to face lefties, whereas Burleson should only be facing righties. And he's getting thrown into the ringer because nobody on our team can hit lefties, and they literally can't platoon him. They just can't.
It's true. Okay, let's do Sonny Gray. I'm gonna say top of B.
Top of B. I'm fine with top of B.
Bottom of A, but I think top of B is probably fair.
The volume could put him bottom of A. Okay, his ERA has dropped.
Yeah, and I mean his FIP is 2.92. His sweeper is back to being really good again. It was getting hit quite a bit, and now it's become unhittable again. But I mean, he did miss a couple starts at the beginning of the year. He was really rough from the end of May through until last 2 starts. I think he was like a 5.72 ERA or something like that, which like when you're supposed to be your ace and it's like a month and a half of a high 5 ERA, that's tough to put me in an A. But I mean, that strikeout percentage, 30% of the year is awesome. You could talk me into low A, especially because like you brought up the innings. Like he's already 125, so I don't think he's gonna hit the 184 of last year, but it's
he could get up to 170.
You know what? If he had one more good start, I would definitely put him in A.
He has 7 starts left, right?
So if he gets probably approximately.
He's going to get to 165, 170 innings. I'm fine with that in A tier because I think the ERA will go down because of where the FIP is.
Yeah.
I think it'll go down a little bit. You're going to be.
Here's a couple things. What do you think his FIP was in 2023?
Oh, it was like the best in baseball. It was like 2.8 or something.
2.83. What do you think his FIP is right now?
2.9. Like it's right there.
Yeah, 2.9. And his
he doesn't walk anybody, and he literally is maybe the best at suppressing. He was the best at suppressing home runs in all of baseball last year. And then you brought him to Busch Stadium, which is part of why I was so high on him, because people don't hit home runs at Busch Stadium. So like it plays really well to his strengths.
In here somewhere, like with Romero.
Yeah. I like him above King for sure. Like right in there is fine with me.
Above Romero or below Romero?
Let's say above Romero, because the expected stats with Gray are way better.
Yeah, let's do that. I do think, I also maybe going to project a little bit that Gray's going to continue down the stretch and be awesome. But man, the home run rate stuff, his BABIP stuff is about the same as last year too, and it's about in line with his career average. Actually, it's higher than career average BABIP against him. His home run rate's a little bit higher than career normals, and last 2 years it's been a lot lower, especially last year was crazy low. It's funny how many people after like some bad starts from Gray were like, oh, it's only year one of the contract, it's gonna be so bad. It's like, well,
sometimes pitchers have bad stretches.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if the season ended today and his ERA was, what is it, 3.8, 3.6, I'd probably put that as like a B. Like if you told me coming into his ERA would be a 3.6, I'd probably be like, that's a good year from him, but not what we told. I think we want low threes, so he does need to turn on a little bit. Okay, so Lance Lynn, bottom of C maybe because of lately, but the lack of innings makes me think maybe top of D.
Yeah, I would say top of D is fine. He still has a negative WAR on the season. Like we talked about getting him and him being a 6 and who knows, and instead he's a 4 and dive, which is just not what you wanted with Lance Lynn, because like the ERA might be what we wanted it to be, like right around 4. And I know that if you take out that national start, the numbers are much better. So maybe bottom of C, because that start was just dumb. Like he clearly didn't have it. He then had to stay in and just eat it because they didn't want to waste the bullpen with double headers coming up. So like it kind of is what it is. And it was good of him to at least gut through 3 2/3, even though like you would have liked to see him go through 5. But he's a 4 and dive, and they really needed him to be a 6 and dive.
Agreed. It's been okay. So we've got a lot left to do. So let's go quickly through the rest, or let's knock off a bunch of people that we should probably be able to do pretty quickly. Sean Armstrong, maybe like a B. He's 2.25 ERA and he's 4 innings so far, and it's I think 6 strikeouts in 4 innings. It's been really nice. So A, B.
I would say C just because there's no sample size. Like I'm fine just saying he's average, but B is fine. Okay. Like the numbers are good, fine. And what if they got old Armstrong?
Yeah, that's fair. Michael McGreevy. I mean, small sample size argument, but it was awesome. So
it was awesome. I was as a McGreevy
C tier. It's hard because it's like we can only rank. I don't want to rank him. It's hard.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even fair. I would say if I had to rank him, top of C, bottom of B, but I don't want to rank him.
And let's not rank ourselves.
I like McGreevy.
I don't really think it's super fair. Matt's
F tier.
So
maybe top of F.
Yeah, because it's injuries.
And like, he was better. He was better than Walker when he was around, at least.
Robertson, like D tier, because I mean, been hurt a lot. He was 4.3 ERA, 4.38 ERA when he was healthy of his 12 innings.
Yeah, I'm having trouble even remembering when did Robertson pitch? I lost you for a second.
It's been a while. I think. Oh,
I got you back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, my Wi-Fi is being weird, I think.
Okay, Dylan Carlson, F tier.
F tier, and he didn't even get us anything back at the deadline, so double F tier. Double F tier.
Double F tier. Okay, Matthew Liberatore. I think that's I think let's do Liberatore and Roycroft as 2 more quick ones, and Carpenter. I think we can knock this out pretty quick.
All right.
Maybe 5.1 ERA in the season now. I feel like a lot of it's not been super fair to him being thrown around, but I'd probably put bottom of C, top of D potentially.
Bottom of C is fine with me. I think he's been better than Lynn because he provides so much value out of the bullpen against lefties. Like he is a good left-handed reliever. And when they were letting him do just that, it was awesome.
So you said above Lynn and D?
I would say above Lynn, bottom of C, like below Nootbaar.
Okay, that's fair. I'll take that. Chris Roycroft. 4.15 ERA on the year. I mean, I kind of think like top of D. And
I would say he's right there with.
I mean, he's had to cover some innings sometimes.
Yeah, I would say like right there with Libby. Like I think they're really comparable. I think Roycroft is a guy that almost any bullpen in the league could use as their 8th man. Like I don't know anybody that would turn down a Chris Roycroft right now. And so I think for me, he's at least league average if that's the case.
Okay. All right, and then last one that I think we can do really quick is Matt Carpenter. Real quick, where do you think he ranks on the team in OPS?
Probably like 8th.
6th.
Shut up.
It is
it's not
Tommy
real.
Pham, Wilson Contreras, Alec Burleson, Mason Winn, Ivan Herrera, Matt Carpenter.
That's not real. That's not real right now. You're kidding me, right? I mean, C tier, right?
Oh my
C tier?
Yeah.
And he's good with wrist. Like Matt Carpenter loves big spots.
Put him above New, probably. Oh man.
Absolutely.
Wow. Brutal. That's how the season's gone so far. I cannot believe when you look at if you just showed me the stats they have at this point in the year, I'd be like, the Cardinals are like the fifth place team right now. I don't know how they pulled it off.
It's insane.
So, which I know we'll get into some people's arguments of like, that's why we say they're not good, but I don't. Anyways, that's a conversation for another time. Yeah, they've got room to grow. Miles Mikolas, we are looking at a 5.12 ERA on the year. He's covered 128 innings, which is the most on the team. I'd say like bottom of C, top of D though.
He's definitely above Lynn for me.
Okay.
You can have him in D tier with Lynn because the season numbers aren't great. But
I think that's where to go.
Since May 12th, he has a 4.26 ERA, and he has a lot of quality starts. Also, since that point, once the team started winning, they're 9-5 in games that he pitches. So I think that matters a little bit. Like they seem to win when Mikolas pitches. And listen to how many innings he's gone since May 12th. Okay. 6, 5, 6, 6, 6, 7, 6 1/3, 6, 4 1/3, 6, 6 1/3, 5 1/3, 6, 6.
Okay. I like that.
Basically every night he's getting through 6 innings. I've got him in like very bottom of C, like below Roycroft. I could listen to above Lynn, but at least he's got a positive WAR, unlike Lance Lynn. He's not like a total wash. And the innings are there. Like Miles Mikolas could get close to 180 innings.
I like it. Yeah, we'll go top of D because I do think too, like his bad outings are really bad, and then he has some pretty good outings. So like I think it feels like he's an F tier player sometimes, but I don't think it's been that bad. The contract makes it feel like that for sure.
Oh,
too.
it's so bad.
And also sometimes it feels like he always is like, oh, it's off contact and blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, yeah, all right, Miles.
Well, and you don't know what you're gonna get from him next year, and you're locked into it right now. And it's like, could he be Wayno next year?
Yeah. Sad. No bueno. Erick Fedde. So we're going off of Cardinals so far. He has one good start, one bad start. Are we going like C tier then?
Yeah, very top of C, like above Armstrong. But if we're doing like full season performance, Erick Fedde's A tier. Like,
yeah,
obviously we can't do that.
Like I feel like it's like we can't do just Pham Cardinals and then Fedde on the year. So it's either we do Pham on the year, which is probably like C tier, and Fedde an A S tier, or it's flip flopped. But
yeah, like Fedde has the highest WAR on the team. So I'll say C tier for now, but I think Fedde could really easily play himself. Like I think his start against the Cubs was really weird. They'd already seen him this year when he was with the White Sox, which was kind of like to his detriment. And then also like, cause he didn't get that little bump that guys normally do when they get traded into a different league because he'd already seen the Cubs. Yeah. But I don't know. I like it. Like, I just think the deal was so good. We gave up nothing for him. Everything around it is nice. And yeah, I mean, he's probably been the best pitcher this year who's wearing a Cardinals uniform because Gray has trailed off a little bit. So yeah,
you could, I mean, I can kind of talk myself into him in the bottom of B tier because it's like he had one bad second inning. Otherwise pretty darn good. But I think it'd be tough to put him higher because he has a 5.4 ERA, but it's 2 starts, and one of them was good, one was weird. So I'll put C tier for now.
C is great, and the lack of innings, like he hasn't gotten out of the 5th either, or past the 5th either time.
So Ivan, our 5th in OPS on the Cardinals right now, sitting in AAA.
I C tier.
What a time! Yeah, I'd probably put him like maybe like below Leahy.
Yeah, that works for me. That works for me. Because the numbers are good, and he should be on the team right now.
1,000% agree with you on that. So, you know who his roster spot he could potentially replace is Mr. Paul Goldschmidt. Man, Paul Goldschmidt. Got to put him in D tier, I'd say. With good old. Where does he go though? Does he go above Arenado, below Arenado?
I want him to be next to Arenado because I want to send a message that like these guys are still both bad, both next to each other. You know?
So who goes first though? Who's worse?
Well,
Nato or Goldie? Nato is the better offensive numbers and plays a premium defensive position.
Nato also
has
a
better average, OBP, and slug.
He has the worst attitude though in this sense.
Yeah.
And that matters. And the other thing is, like, if we're baking in projections, if you had told me that Paul Goldschmidt was going to be like a slightly below league average bat, I wouldn't have flipped out before the season. I didn't think that was true because I think he's still a generational talent who's probably going to make the Hall of Fame someday. But I would have listened to that because he's 36. And so I think it's fair.
Nato has a 691 OPS with runners in scoring position, 256 average. Goldie is 173 average, 283 on base, 245 slug, which his slug is over 100 points worse than Nato's with the bases or with the runner scoring position, 528.
Hit him ninth every night. Hit him ninth.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Get him high leverage situations. If you bases empty, Goldie's actually kind of Goldie, but or against a lefty with no one on base, that's when you want Goldie up. That's the only time right now. The only time.
Yeah. Well, it's just stupid. The fact that these guys can't hit with runners on, you should be better with runners on. That should just be like an obvious thing.
Well, apparently the Cardinals don't like to operate that way. So they should bring Alan Craig as a hitting coach.
Alan Craig is my all-time favorite Cardinal. That would make me so happy.
Oh gosh, Goldie's K percentage this year is 28%, which actually he's had some high K percentages in his career, but this is the highest of a full season, that's for sure. So yeah, not great. Okay, so Michael Siani,
Mr. Siani, B tier.
Great. We going like above Donnie, below Donnie? Below Pallante. I think above Pallante at least.
Above Pallante. I would say above Donnie because he's been worth more. Like he's got a higher WAR than Donovan on the season in less games. It sucks that he's hurt now. But like when you think about 234 at bats, that's about a third of a season, and he's a 1.2 player right now, like 1.2 WAR player. That's almost a 4 WAR pace. And when you think about the fact that, let me just get this. Where did he start? He started hitting in June. So since June, he's got 695 OPS, which is much, much closer to league average, 296 batting average since June 1st, 324 on base. He's almost slugging 400. It's nothing to write home about, but when you're also literally the best center fielder in all of baseball, and you can run, and you can bunt, and you lead all of baseball in sacrifices, I'll start to listen because that guy becomes someone who's a 4.5 to 5 WAR player if he keeps that up. And so I think that's really good. And I think he's a B tier player for that reason.
Yeah, I guess I'd go B tier too. I see some A tier stuff. I just think the offense was so bad at the beginning. It's hard for me to put him there. But like, how much do you value him being like a top 5 defender in all of baseball? Like, does that get you into A tier? And then the offense performance recently. The one thing I'll push back into, I know the offense performance has been good over that stretch, but I just don't think that's sustainable. So yes, you put that over a full season with the Gold Glove defense. Obviously, it's like S tier, A tier player, but I think he's probably more the hitter we saw toward the beginning than he is this one. I think he's somewhere in between that.
Well, let's just do this.
Finisi.
Until June 1st, he had a 542 OPS. Do you think he's more of a 542 or a 695 guy? Because those are really different.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess he's more 695. You're right. I think probably realistically, if over a season, I'd say like 650.
Yeah, but I mean that's still like a B tier player, I think, with what he does.
Yeah,
he is basically Bader, and he might play better defense than Bader did.
It's true. And he was the 6th outfielder, so it's pretty incredible. I think expectations, he's definitely A S tier, but I'd probably say more B tier as a overall.
It's hard to have him in the same tier as Contreras when Contreras,
for sure,
his OPS is literally 300 points higher.
I agree. Also in the chat, because I don't know how we're going to make conversation about the 3 of us in here. So go ahead and start putting your takes for Mo's water holder, 7 All-Stars and 2-way player about where you think we rank this year. Just however you want to do it. Like how held Mo's water Sandy's over evaluation of Cardinal players, which has come out a few times in this episode, and then Andrew's advocacy of two-way players. You can let us know what you're thinking: A tier, S tier, F tier, all that stuff. Gosh, Andrew put both of us in F tier and him in S tier. Go figure. Oliver, I'm in A tier.
Yeah, no, all the people that say, like you asked earlier, when we look at the stats and they're so bad, especially on the offensive side, how do the Cardinals keep winning games? Ali Marmol.
Or S tier even. I do like the imagery of him going, okay, actually, there's two images I like. One of him putting his hand this direction. It's the bullpen next to him, because like his bullpen usage this year, I think how he's navigated, he's been phenomenal, even though he gets a lot of crap for it. I do like him in S tier though, pointing to Pham being like, hey, if you gave me more players like this, we'd be winning a lot of ball
that's
games.
fun. That's fun.
So I can see S because I'm like
looking up, because then he could go in F tier and be looking up at the team.
Looking up at everyone. I do think the problem with Ollie, I'd say A or S tier, and the thing I don't like about, or the crap that Ollie's gotten this year is like, what else is he supposed to do?
Literally nothing.
I do agree that the Cubs series was bad. The Cubs series, the Crawford thing was weird. Did not agree with that decision. Some of his bullpen stuff that series was weird. But like for the most part, Ollie's, I feel like, manage the bullpen as well as you can, because every manager makes mistakes with it. And I know we've gotten mad about the lineup construction, but like, who else is he supposed to move up in the lineup? I just named off the Cardinals have 8 guys with an OPS over 700, and only 4 of those guys have an OPS over 740. And one of those guys is Tommy Pham, who's played 8 games. Yeah. So they have 3 players on their team that have a 740 OPS or higher. Their lineup is awful. So I don't know.
And they just lost like staples for the season. Like Siani's not going to play the rest of the year. Like now he has to figure out what to do at the bottom half of the lineup too. It's not a good spot to be in. And the other thing is, when you're thinking about like, should he move Arenado down in the lineup? Maybe, but how does that affect Arenado? Because he's already got a bad attitude about some stuff that's going on right now. So what happens now? Like, can you bat Arenado 8th?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
It would be awesome if there was a lineup that went out there was Nato 8th and Goldie 9th. But like, what do you do? Like, is Victor Scott supposed to bat over them? Like, Nootbaar hasn't been good, so like, is Nootbaar supposed to bat over them? Is Gorman supposed to bat over them? So it's just like, he doesn't have options right now. So
no, he doesn't.
I'll go A tier because I think we will get burned to the ground if we go S tier.
I think either one would have been fine with me, because I literally cannot name a game that he has lost this year. Maybe 1 or 2 all season. And that's really good. And I think there are a lot of games you can point to and say his decision-making, maybe not like he didn't win the game because the players win the games, but like, man, he puts his players in positions to succeed.
Yeah, I agree. And like even the Crawford one the other day that people come back to, like, he didn't lose the game there because who knows what Siani would have done there. Who knew? It was 2 outs, bases loaded. Like, I don't trust Gorman in that spot. I think I would have gone to Matt Carpenter or kept Siani in. Well, obviously, because I'm not going to Crawford. But
yeah, I thought it was odd. I didn't like taking Siani out. Also, Siani has some speed, so he might have been able to beat something out. But
that's true. So we'll see what they do with that. Money Mo.
Man, I love some Money Mo. He's had a really good year. He had a great deadline.
A great deadline. I think his offseason, it's tough because every time we've ranked it, it's been tough. Like, if you bake in the decisions he made that put them into this spot this year, you bet you knock him a few grades. But like, we're talking about how has he done this year? So like, we can't change the Ozuna trade. We can't change the Mikolas extension. We can't change some of these dumb things.
But man, the things that like the new acquisitions for the Cardinals, Tommy Pham, Mason Winn is a guy that they decided to pull up. Like, he was drafted under the Mozeliak regime, whether we like that or not. Fernandez, Sonny Gray, JoJo Romero, he traded 4 years ago. Like, if we're going to bake in the Ozuna trade, bake in the Sosa trade. Can't erase that. They acquired John King at the deadline last year. Andrew Kittredge was an offseason acquisition. Michael Siani was an offseason acquisition. Fedde and Armstrong, MLB gave MLB.com, okay, ranked this as the best deadline that any team had. They ranked the Cardinals as the number 1 on MLB Network. So, it's good. Gibson, even like even Lance Lynn, who's been like playable this year. Not a lot of fails from him. And these guys at the very bottom, these are not necessarily like Mo guys, at least in recent years.
Yeah. Okay. I'm in with A. Let's do it. Oh, I think you didn't even say A, but did you? Or maybe you did.
I'd say
You put
A.
him in there.
Right below,
I
right
put
below
him.
Ali. Right below his
Yeah.
guy Ali. Maybe Ali's pointing at him, saying like, "Do more for me."
Do more for me. Yeah, that's true. It could be a day wallet, especially with maybe shrinking payroll even more. We're gonna go to F tier now at this point. I
Yeah,
think we've
he's
been
F
in
tier.
D tier.
Put him below Gallegos. I'm tired of it. It's tone deaf. Like, it's actually ridiculous. Him coming out and saying, we are not positioned to take on any more payroll right before the deadline too. Like, yeah, show Mo's hand. Seriously. He is not helping his personnel.
Not great. Not great. Let's do Chip and then the Cardinals, and then we'll do the three of us. Yeah.
Chip
I
is
think
S
Chip's
tier.
awesome.
He's literally my favorite announcer in all of baseball right now. And there are guys that I like. I love Chip Caray. I think I like him every bit as much as I liked Danny Mac. I think Chip's funnier than Danny Mac. And this is not a diss on Danny Mac. I will forever value having listened to him for years and years. I enjoyed it so much, but I love Chip Caray. I think he and Brad Thompson also have great chemistry in the booth, and I hope I get to listen to them for years to come.
It's interesting. They got ranked pretty low as as a broadcast unit on some national thing, but I think I like them a lot. So I don't care for Jim Edmonds much though, but
no, I do not.
Yeah.
But I love Chip Caray.
Real quick, before we talk about the Cardinals season, we do want to let you know about a promo code we have with SeatGeek. So if you use code Newt News on SeatGeek, you can get $20 off your first purchase using SeatGeek this year. So if you're going to a Cardinal game down the stretch, you want to watch them try and compete in this wild card race or NL Central race, even because I feel like the Brewers are vulnerable. Or you want to go to a concert or a different kind of sporting event this year, you can go to anything as long as it's your first purchase on SeatGeek. If you use the code Newt News, you get $20 off any purchase of $50 or more. So again, if you're going to a game or a concert with someone else, you can buy the tickets together and get $20 off, which is awesome. Who doesn't like to save money? So that's always a fun thing. So make sure you use code Newt News to save $20 off on your next purchase with SeatGeek. So we've done this last few times. Let's say at the exact same time. I want to say 3, 2, 1, and then give our take for what the Cardinals are at this year. So we'll do tier, and then we can put within the tier where we think. But let's go 3, 2, 1. C tier.
C tier.
Oh, you're C. I thought you said B.
Top of C. I was thinking about B earlier, but when I'm looking at it, it's like there's one unit. The bullpen, if the relievers are concentrated at the high ranks, and then everybody else is like C. And so I think the bullpen as a unit is like A tier or B tier maybe. The offense is D tier, and the rotation's probably C tier. Yeah. So I'll average all of that out to C tier.
And then they are 2.5 games out of the wild card at least right now. What are they? The division? They're 4 games.
I think they're 6 because the Brewers won again. Let me get that.
6. Okay, they're 6.
They're 2 games out of the wild card because Atlanta lost again tonight. So that's a positive.
Okay. I guess
the Mets might lose too.
Updated yet? So I think if you're out of the wild card race, it's hard to put you anything above C tier. Or you're in the wild card race, but if you're out of the wild card stand, like the wild card spots, it's hard to put you above C. So I think we're good with that. Oh, really? Dang. Yeah, the Cardinals are painfully mid right now. It's funny, though. They started terrible. Then they went on a prolonged good stretch, and now they've been pretty 500 baseball. So they're not awful like some people are saying, but I put them top of C. Now, I think there is a part of me that could say I think it's why I want to put them in C too. Is I feel like they continue to underachieve.
Correct. They leave so much meat on the bone.
Yeah, especially the offense. The offense is just pressuring crap out of me. A bullpen, again, we talked about before the season, I could see how it's an A bullpen. The rotation, I could see how, I could see. I thought the bullpen would be an A bullpen. I thought the rotation would be a C rotation. I thought this offense was going to be a B plus to A lineup, and it has not been. And so
it's literally D tier.
Yeah. So that's where I think C, because it's and when I think of the Cardinals, I'm thinking a lot, this is the culmination of everyone. And it's just man, this lineup has let them down so hard this year. But then you could also make the argument they've climbed themselves out of that big hole. I don't know, but they have a 26-28 record against teams above 500 this year, which the Diamondbacks are sub 500 against teams above 500. So are the Mets for as good as they've been lately. The Brewers are above 500 against teams with above 500 record. But yeah, if we put Pop Warner and Turner Ward in here, you're right, Sandy. They both be F tiers.
Yeah, we got to get them on the next list. Pop Ward literally just sends everybody.
Yeah. All right, guys. What are we putting for Mo's water holder? Sandy, Andrew, Kareem,
I'd say you've
Chat.
held the water,
How
but
about
not
on
as
the water this year?
consistently because I feel like you're not always in Mo's corner. I'm going like B tier.
B tier for my water
B
holding
tier
this
water
year.
holding. You do hold his water, but you criticized Mo, especially early in the season. You were talking about the Mo timetable being accelerated.
That's true. That's true.
I think I've glazed Mo more than you have.
Yeah, that's true. I still think though, like most like especially like the Cardinal, the section of Cardinal Nation that like hates this team would probably say I'm S tier water holding still at this point.
Yeah, that's true too.
But I would say I like B tier for my water holding this year. I'm not seeing
spilling
a lot
Mo's
of
water. It's crazy, Andrew. It's crazy.
I'll put myself at the bottom of B tier because it's honestly in some ways average. We're closer to average probably than exceptional water holding this year. I will say, Sandy, I feel like in the same way you do. I think maybe with the prospects you're a little bit more of like overhyped on them. But I think you've been like, but you've been like so like. There's been times you're like, I hate everyone on the Cardinals. Like trade them all. It's all over. So not quite 7 all-stars.
Yeah, oh, for sure. If Twitter had access to our text thread, they would think I like had a problem. Because sometimes I just get so mad.
Our text thread looks way more like Twitter from you guys sometimes, like the parts of Twitter that I despise. And so sometimes I open it and I'm like, man, I was hoping this chat was a safe haven, and it's not.
Not always.
So,
not always.
Oh, man. Also, there's a thing where basically if Andrew ever tells Sandy to just go home, we lost, Cardinals will win. So
yeah, I was at the ball game and Andrew was hating on everything. Oh, prospect hugger is good. I definitely am a prospect hugger. I'm a prospect hoarder.
Yeah, we'll put you in B tier too, because your prospect hugging this year has been on par or top tier, but then your MLB support has been a little low for my liking.
That's true. To be fair though,
except even on this list though, there's been some guys you've been like, I feel like most of the time you're talking me into a higher tier of some of them.
This is true. Also, like my guys that I picked to glaze have been good this year. Okay. I've been a John King glazer since the deadline last year. I just want that to be known. Like I've been the #1 John King fan on Twitter. And no matter how many times Kyle Reese tells me he's bad, I don't listen. I don't care. Yeah. And McDreamy. Oh my goodness. It was so nice.
Except you were out on Michael Siani though.
I know. And that was wrong of me. And I've apologized to him many times.
You were a gray guy, which I mean, I was too. And that's not hard to be a gray guy.
Yeah.
Who else have you?
I was not a Pham guy. I was not a Pham guy before the deadline.
You hate Cardinals, Jesus.
Yeah, I've been in on like Pallante for sure. Obviously Helsley, but everyone's in on Helsley. Who else? I've been like a Kyle Leahy guy. I've been one of his supporters. Just pick like relievers, and I'm probably like really high on them. I really like our bullpen.
That's true. Yeah, I feel like you could probably like. If it was spring training and Sandy had to cut the bullpen down, I feel like he would have sent home everyone, like all the rotation would be figured out, the lineup be figured out, but he'd have like 15 extra relievers on the roster, still trying to figure out a roster.
Like, but I like all of them.
I like all of them. I mean, his slider sometimes gets an above average chase, and it could be pretty good off that 91 mile per hour fastball that has no break on it. But
welcome to the Pete Hansen experience.
Oh man. Yeah, that's true. S tier for having trust in McDreamy, because I had F tier trust in McDreamy. Okay,
I'm so vindicated.
Let me make my case on two-way player real quick and see what you think. I'm gonna go S tier.
I am too.
He has never wavered on that, but also Andrew is a two-way player, unlike us.
Very true.
He does the on-screen stuff, but he is everything off-screen. He's
the brains behind the operation.
He is the media. He's the brains behind the operation in a lot of ways. So I think you got to give Andrew maybe like below Tommy Pham with the aura. Andrew doesn't quite have the aura of Tommy Pham, but I do think it's true.
It's true.
But Andrew is a true unicorn.
It's so true. And the Shohei glazing might be at an all-time high this year, especially off screen. Really like there might be more than there's ever been. So it's got to be S tier.
Yeah, S tier. I mean, he asked Mo about two-way players, right? So, I mean, he's just all in. He almost cried on stream when Jack Caglione got drafted at 6. So.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Andrew for being the only person not rejoicing with the Weatherholt pick.
That's
like
true.
He did not waver.
Yeah, he did not waver. Also, Cody, you're right. He's the king of reverse jinxes as well. So like
Just go home, Sandy. We lost.
F tier since that's an interesting take, Kareem. He could be F tier because they didn't draft Caray. But is he S tier because Burleson and Winn, the former two-way players, are doing well this year?
True.
There's a lot of
And
ways to look
Brandon
at it.
Crawford as a two-way player.
True.
Andrew, you know what? The defining moment was Andrew being upset that Bosiakovic got dropped because he was a two-way player.
True.
That is the defining moment of all of this. Andrew was mad.
I can't. There was something else that was happening that we're trying to talk about, and he just could not drop that.
Yeah, there were like important things going on. He was like, "I can't believe they got rid of
it was
this guy."
it was McGreevy being called up, and he's like, "I hate McGreevy because."
Andrew like, "I can't believe they got rid of literally the 40th guy on the 40 man."
Who has he ever played a position at the minor league level, or was he drafted like out of college as a two-way guy?
I have no idea, because why would I know anything about that guy?
I don't know. He was one of those guys who's added
funny.
the 40 man. I was kind of like, I didn't remember he was in the organization, but okay.
Yeah.
So, well, it's been a fun chat tonight. Very active. We appreciate you all and all of your support. As always, we'll be back on Sunday again, talk through the Rays series, and I'm blanking who they play right after the Rays. It's a tough. Is it the Reds next?
Yeah, I think so. Let me double check really quickly.
If someone knows, throw in the chat real quick. But it's been a fun episode.
Royals.
Again, Royals.
On
Okay,
the road
yes.
for the
and then the Reds,
Friday Saturday series, off day Sunday, and they're back in business in Cincinnati on Monday.
Sunday off days.
Really gross.
That is nice for us though. Okay, so we ended up having 3 guys in S tier, and only one Cardinal. We had Andrew and Chip. A bunch of A tier, but the majority of our guys have been C, D, F tier, which I feel like is pretty fair. And like the A, S, B tier guys are really carrying the team this year. So I think this is a pretty fair list.
I mean, when you think about like the most at bats are concentrated in D and F or C and D tier, which tells you how the offense has been. The most amount of bullpen innings are concentrated in A tier, which tells you how the bullpen's been, and the rotation is scattered. Like Gray is A tier, Pallante kind of B, maybe like high C. Fedde, we don't really know, but then like Mikolas and Lynn and D, like that's about how things have been when you think about those 3 units as a whole.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I agree. I like this. So again, thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. Really appreciate it. Again, if you're going to go to a game this year, go to a concert, make sure to use our code on SeatGeek Newt News to get $20 off your purchase on that, and go check out 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. Even just go drop a follow on Instagram real quick so you can keep up to date with their stuff, and let them know that you found them, or that if this is your first time hearing about them, let them know that the Dealing Card sent you over there as well. Again, we'll be back on Sunday, so excited about that. Sorry for all the ads that popped up this whole time. We'll get Andrew the ad blocker on next time. But yeah, hopefully we get some. I mean, we had some fun minor league performances recently, so maybe we'll get to talk some about that on Sunday. With the JC Walker's been doing pretty well. Quinn Matthews, obviously JJ Weatherholt's been awesome. So like we'll get to talk about that at some point. I'm hoping he goes to Peoria so I can go watch him soon. Oh yeah, we should maybe we can collab with Kareem to do a top 30 prospects video this offseason or something. So awesome. Kareem, if you're still in here and you hear this, let me know if you'd be interested in doing something like that. Yeah, anyways, it's been fun, everyone, and we'll see you guys on Sunday. See ya.